Welcome to another great edition of Beacons of Light, and joining me is Carrie Johnson Robinson, the National Board Secretary. How are you, Carrie?
I am great, Michael, and it's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me and having me on the Beacons of Light show.
Well, we're excited to have you. Frederick Ozanam, our founder, was an attorney. Carrie's an attorney. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you were so open to the call of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul.
I was born in a small town in the Mississippi Delta, Shelby, Mississippi. I knew from the time I was about 6 or 7 years old that I wanted to be an attorney. But there was something else. God had something else destined for me. When I was a small child, I used to see the commercials that they would run that said just 10 cents a day would provide so many meals for hungry and needy children in other countries. And whenever I saw those commercials, there was something inside of me that said, I wish I had the 10 cents a day. It didn't seem like it was a whole lot of money, and that I would send it. And I know it was advertisement, but that spirit was still, I didn't realize it until the society came along and awakened that was something that God had also destined and called me to do as well. I moved to Jackson, Mississippi after I graduated from law school, probably about a year after. And I clerked at the Court of Appeals. I had several different jobs. And then in 2016, a conference came to my parish church at Christ the King Catholic Church. And there was our pastor there, Father Ricardo Phipps, who felt like our parish should be doing more to serve the community. And he allowed St. Richard's Conference and some of the members there to come, and they did. They came several times, and there was an invitation to serve. And I agreed to just simply, I wanted to become involved and participate in it after I learned more about the society. That was the first time I had heard of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. Growing up in the Mississippi Delta, I had no knowledge of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. The only knowledge I had of Catholic was the parish that I attended, St. Gabriel's Catholic Church, and the Oblate Sisters of Providence. The president, I was not the initial president. The president moved and returned to Florida. I was the vice president, and I assumed the role of president around 2017 of our local conference, which is the St. Martin de Porres conference at Christ the King Catholic Church. About maybe a year later, I received a call from Bill Migley, who had come and did some training, and said, we need to form a council there. And I think the St. Richard's Conference was interested in doing the same. By this time, another conference had formed, which was St. Therese. And he said, we need to form a council there. And he said, would you be interested in serving in a leadership role in the council? It was not on my radar. I said to him, maybe perhaps you need to ask somebody else, but when God has something for you to do, he's going to get his way. So that's how I ended up becoming council president. And from there, of course, I got a chance and an opportunity to attend a mid-year meeting, some national meetings, and just recently our current president tapped me and asked if I would serve as national secretary.
Yeah, well, and that's in a period of about 7 years. You said
Yes.
Off camera, you've been a Vincentian for 7 years. So
Yes.
you've gone from not knowing about the society to being on the National Board of Directors as an officer.
Yes.
Yeah, it's when the Holy Spirit wants you to do something, He makes it happen, right?
He's persistent. He's
Yes.
persistent. Because I can tell you, when it came to the role of council president for the Jackson District Council, every time I got a call, I would say, well, let me pray about it, or no. And it was just what the Lord wanted.
Right. He just kept knocking on your door, right? Till you opened it and
Yes.
said, yeah. Well, often on this show, we talk about the fact that whether we're in the Vincentian ministry or wherever we may be in the world, God's always talking to us, but we're not sometimes listening, right?
I think the reason why, I wouldn't say we don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
I think we hear,
Mm-hmm.
but our spirit is not ready to receive what God is saying at the time. Or it could be that there is so much noise in the world, because when God speaks, He usually whispers. But His voice can grow and will grow louder as the noise in our world, if it grows louder and He believes that we're not receiving or hearing it. So He has a way of ensuring that we hear Him. What I have learned as an adult, because the world, when you are an attorney or being a spouse or being a parent, there are so many things that make demands upon our time. And what's important is that we sit sometimes and just simply be quiet. And that's when you can really hear from God. He will direct you. He will guide you. And that's what He has done in terms of my participation with the Society of St. Vincent de Paul.
No doubt about it. So, and what you just said was very powerful in that spiritual growth helps you to listen. It's kind of like a hearing aid for the soul, right?
Yes.
In that, God is talking, but maybe our soul spirits, we're not ready for that message.
That's correct. That is correct. And that's one of the areas where I believe the Society of St. Vincent de Paul can help individuals. If you're seeking intimacy and a connection with God, then the society, because that is really, even though we do good work and do deeds that help the needy, the essential and main purpose of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul is to develop people spiritually.
Yes.
And their connection with God.
Well, that's what we're trying to do at the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Carrie a little bit more about her spiritual journey and what she sees as the vision of the Society in the future when we come back. For over 20 years, the St. Vincent de Paul Community Pharmacy has served our area. We provide prescription medicines for those who have nowhere to turn for this most basic healthcare need. Please, if you need your medicine or you know a family member that needs their medicine, contact us. Kay, how can they get in touch?
383-7450.
Give us a call today and spread the word so that we can ensure no one goes without their prescription medication. Welcome back. I'm here with Carrie Johnson Robinson. We're talking about all the great things of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. Carrie, I know that you made a lot of home visits in your Vincentian career. Share some that really touched your heart.
I will share two. The first home visit was a single parent who was working, caring for a mother, and had children of her own, and I believe she may have had some children which were that of a relative. that she was providing some care for to avoid them, I guess, being in the foster system. She reached out to us for assistance with rent. Myself and another Vincentian went to the apartment where they were staying. And when we walked in, the apartment was quite untidy. But what we decided to do, we had a private conversation with her about the tidiness of the unit. My concern as an attorney was with the terms of her lease and her adhering to the terms of the lease with respect to tidiness and making sure that she was not evicted because we were there to assist with the rent. But being an attorney, I usually know what is in a lease about tidiness and making sure that you are abiding by the terms of the lease. So we had that private conversation after we had had prayer with the family. When we left the apartment, my fellow Vincentian says, well, she may not have the items she needs to clean. We're having this conversation about it. We need to address that too. So we went to the dollar store and brought some cleaning items and went back and dropped them off. And what we said to this mother at that time was like, we know that this may be, there may be many demands on your time, and this may be overwhelming with what you're doing. But the children can help you. Give them some responsibilities too. And so what we said is, we'll come back and we're going to check on you. And we told her when we would be coming back. When we returned, the children met us as we were coming up. And they were saying, the fellow Vincentian, her last name is Robinson too. And so they said, Miss Robinson, we have cleaned up, we have cleaned up, we have cleaned up. And one of the little boys said, I took out the garbage. And another child said, I washed the dishes. And sure, when we entered the apartment, they had cleaned it. It was tidy. And then there was a child that I had been assisting with some homework when we went on the visit. He said, Miss Robinson, look at my activity sheet. Look at my activity sheet. Thank you for helping me. That was very, very touching to know that we had made such a difference in that home at that time. And when we left and went back, my Vincentian's husband, because we didn't identify the family or where they were, but we talked about what had happened on that visit. Even though we do not in the society, we maintain confidentiality with respect to the people that we are assisting and visiting. It is also important for us to tell the impact. Confidentiality doesn't mean secrecy. Right. So we shared the impact that we had with my Vincentian home visiting partner, her husband. And he said, you all made a big difference and changed the dynamics in that family. The second instance where I can say that really, really touched me involved a visit that was not in a typical dwelling. We went to, this time it was all the members of my conference. We went to Aniva Mae Pittman Park. That's in Jackson, Mississippi. People who are unhoused usually are there and present in the park. One Saturday, we went there to distribute fruit during the pandemic with the proceeds of a grant that we had actually gotten from the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, the national office. It was an urban farm grant where we wanted to provide fresh fruits and vegetables to individuals who were in need. Because of the pandemic, instead of doing the garden, we decided we would go and distribute fresh fruit to the individuals that were in Ineva May Pittman Park. My husband made backpacks by hand, and when we went there and arrived that Saturday morning, there was a gentleman there. His last name is Martin. He came and greeted us and began to help us set up. And he did everything that we asked him to do and then some. He was giving to us when we were there to help him. And I thought that was that was really touching. But the second part that was really touching to me was as we were distributing, the way that they care for each other. We as Vincentians could learn from them because they were saying or indicating and stating to us, this person didn't receive one. He doesn't walk so well. Let me get one so I can take to him. That type of compassion for their fellow unhoused individuals and the way they looked out and cared for each other, we can all learn from them.
No doubt, powerful stories. And you're right, we can always learn from one another. And I have grown up twin girls, and I could have had you come to my house and help me with that cleaning stuff. I can tell you that right now. I think all parents need. But in our spiritual journeys as Vincentians, it's so critical. And with about 30 seconds left, what would your message be out there to those considering joining our Vincentian mission?
Listen. Listen to what the Spirit is calling you to.
Powerful. The Holy Spirit, that's what is so central to our lives as Vincentians. And so when we come back in the next segment, we're going to talk to Carrie about her vision for the society, what she wants to see in regard to the continued growth and success of our Vincentian family when we come back. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul's first cookbook, Taste and See, is the gift which helps share the goodness of the Lord with those most in need. Featuring recipes from Chef John Foles, each chapter begins with a short story about one of our special work programs. To order your copy of Taste and See, please call the Society or visit our website. Help multiply blessings for the neediest in our community. Welcome back. I'm here with Carrie, our National Board Secretary for the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. Almost ran out of air on that. You've got such a long title there, Carrie. But let's talk about that vision and why it's so important to invite people to be a part of our Vincentian ministry.
It's important to invite people to become a part of our Vincentian ministry. The reason why it is because God is calling all of us to do and to be something better than what we are. Scripture says that the poor will always be among us. The poor may always be among us, but what he did not say is that we were not to serve them, that we were not to respond to them. And when God spoke about the poor being always among us, I don't think he was just talking about those who are in physical poverty. I think he's also talking about those who may be in spiritual poverty. And the society provides us with a mechanism to help eliminate spiritual suffering and poverty, as well as physical. The motto of our society is said it is a network of friends growing in holiness, inspired by gospel values. To a network of friends inspired by gospel values, growing in holiness through personal service with and to those who are in need. So holiness in the society has a twofold purpose: for you to grow in holiness and at the same time serve people who are in need.
And that's the teaching of the Beatitudes, to recognize our spiritual poverty. And you're right. What a powerful way our Vincentian family can do that is help us, one, recognize that poverty. And you said in the first segment, God's talking to us. We either are not ready to hear, or we're not paying attention, basically. And so that is a very powerful way to stress the importance of our society and our Vincentian family. What would you say to somebody out there that all of a sudden says, how do I recognize my spiritual poverty?
God will reveal it to you. If there is some, and you will feel it, you're going to know it. There is going to be something that is nudging you. I've heard people say, there is something missing. It's something, or I feel like there's something I should be doing, or I feel like there's something I'm not pleased with. And when you begin to have those conversations, if you actually realize, if you actually sit and think about it, what is missing is usually something connected with your faith and your relationship with God. And if you begin to ask those questions of God, He will reveal it to you. He will let you know this is where this is what you are not experiencing, or this. And most of the time, it's the connection with Him. We often in our society, we often look to the material things and think that that is what is missing and that that is going to bring fulfillment. It's not. What will bring you fulfillment is being obedient to God and developing the relationship with Him. And that's what He's calling all of us to do. And sometimes that relationship and developing it can come in the form of the people He placed in front of us who are in need, and responding to them. They have something. We serve them, but they provide us with far more than what we could ever give to them.
And what you're saying is what I heard of Vincentian, a little bit older and much more wiser than myself, said: if you've got God in your life, you have everything. If you don't have God in your life and that spirituality, you have nothing.
That's true. That is so true.
And so we all have to recognize the poverty. That's what the call of the Beatitudes is. And so from your vantage point as a Vincentian, when we do serve our neighbors in need, it's not an action, it's not a chore, it's not we got to, it's an opportunity to grow spiritually, right?
That's correct. It's an opportunity. I have not gone and had a Vincentian encounter, whether it's a home visit or whether it's some other special work that we're involved, where God has not been present and where God has not revealed Himself. It could have been in something the person said. It could have been in something a child may have said, or it may have been in simply just how they respond to us and talk to us. I have not encountered or had an encounter where God was not present.
And that gave you the opportunity to grow spiritually and also to grow together in that friendship and holiness with other Vincentians. I bet you've developed some really powerful relationships.
But for the society, I have met some phenomenal people in the society and have come to know some great people. as a result of my participation and involvement in the society. And I know that I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for those relationships. And I know it's something that God placed in my life as a gift. People are a gift. The presence of each and every member of the society is a gift that God gives to us. And I know that there are some more gifts out there.
And we've got to, as a Vincentian family, we've got to spread those gifts, right?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and every day is an opportunity to do that, right?
That is correct. The opportunity to acquaint myself, because I don't know everybody in the society right now, but the opportunity to develop relationships with people from different backgrounds and different, just different faith journeys is phenomenal to me. And I really, really value those relationships that I have developed, and I look forward to developing more, because we have a new board in the society now that assumed office October 1, and so I'm just looking forward to working with them, growing with them, and just growing with those people who are not a part of the society, whom God has destined to become a part of the society. So for those of you who are watching, if you and your spirit has been moved in the midst of this, then just come join us. Just come join us. Heed the call that God has provided and is calling you to, and you won't regret it.
That's a powerful invitation. With about 30 seconds to go, what would you give the audience as a special inspiration, a slogan, just do it, whatever, that they can join our Vincentian family? What words would you use?
Pray, listen, and act.
That's what we need to do, and that's how we're going to end the show. Carrie, thank you for all you do for our society, and thank you for what you have done in Mississippi and what now you're doing at a national and regional level. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you.
We all need to listen to what Carrie said. What a powerful invitation and what powerful instructions to follow. If you're interested in learning more about the Society of St. Vincent de Paul at a national level, you can go to svdpusa.org, or at a local level for St. Vincent de Paul of Baton Rouge, svdpbr.org. We'll see you again next week on Beacons of Light.